Hey, I'm Ken Moran with Mobile Sessions, and today I'm doing another video on Merging Technologies ANUBIS interface. And, you know, it's just so cool, all the various things that keep happening with it and all the updates that happen with it. I'm going to quickly go over a couple of things. Most importantly, we're going to talk about how we're going to use it with your DAW and Logic. And you can see here on my screen that I have Logic over here and I have the ANUBIS control software. So just quick to reiterate from the last couple of videos, the control software is something that automatically installs when you install the drivers to use it. And it allows you to control all the aspects of the ANUBIS on your DAW. But the coolest thing is that it's not limited to that control from your DAW or from your computer. You can actually do everything that I can do in the control software. I can completely do autonomously on the front of the control of the ANUBIS. And that allows you to not have to have a computer around to make all these things happen. Or if you're in the studio, ease of use, you can have the DAW control in case you're not right in front of the ANUBIS itself. So that's one of the cool things that sets it apart a little bit from some of the other interfaces that require a control software from your computer to run, whereas this is autonomous. So just wanted to get that out of the way. We talked about dynamics, we talked about the effects before, and quickly to go back over some of those things, I'm just going to, right here, I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to bring up a little bit of the reverb effect behind us, and I'm going to do the same thing from the controls on the ANUBIS itself. I'm just going to hit the logo button. You'll notice a very similar screen to what's in the control software. I'm just going to tap on the reverb send, and I can add more just like that, or I can add less. So I'm going to turn that down. That's working really well for me. Love that. Awesome. Just hit the logo again one more time, and we're back to the same mixer screen. So we talked about last week in the other video that these are all your inputs, and then starting here are your outputs. So if we look across the bottom, we see mic 1, mic 2, line 1, line 2, the reverb, the dynamic bus, which is really a parallel dynamic bus. And then we have DAW, aux1, aux2, aux3, aux4, aux5. And that, covers all of our inputs, which you can also see right here. If I just touch the screen and slide along, then you can see all of our inputs. So I'm going to center this so we're looking at, all the DAW inputs. So here's what's really cool. If we go to Logic, if you know how to use Logic, then you already know that you go to the preferences in Logic, we go to audio, and we immediately come up here and it shows us the output device and the input device. You'll notice it says merging Ravenna AES67. And you may be asking, well, why doesn't that say ANUBIS? Because that's what I'm using. Well, the merging Ravenna AES67 is the portal that they created so that all of their interfaces will automatically show up as long as you're selecting this driver for your input and your output. As well as any other device manufacturer that makes anything that adheres to AES67 can also run on their same network. And I say network because the ANUBIS itself uses one cable, an Ethernet cable, to plug into your computer, and then it plugs into the ANUBIS. That's it. There's no, it's not Thunderbolt, it's not USB 2, USB-C, or 3. I don't need any dongles. I just need an Ethernet cable. Plug it in the back and away you go. If you always want to be in the safe side, get yourself a Cat 6 shielded cable from Amazon and it'll cost you a couple of dollars, and there you go. It actually comes with its own, but either which way, that's what you can do. So once we've done that, we're set up in Logic, inputs and outputs, and if I go over to Logic and press play, we can already hear it. We know it's working. Now, here's what's really interesting. If you look at the output section, you'll notice that this track says stereo out and this track says aux1. Well, if we click in there and open it up, then we can see the stereo output, which automatically is mapped to the DAW input, which is over here, of the ANUBIS. It automatically does that. You don't have to come up with some crazy routing of your own to figure out how it goes. It's automatically set up. But you know what else is automatically set up is that the outputs, the rest of them, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all go to the aux inputs of the ANUBIS. Now, you're wondering why my logic says output 3, 4, aux 1. I just did a little bit of work and I went over here to the IO labels in Logic, and I just set it up so that things corresponded here. So provided by driver, and you'll see these are all the matching inputs and outputs, and then I'll come down a little. Oh, I went too far, didn't I? Let's go back here, and we can see all of the inputs, all of the outputs, and they go from both mono to stereo. I just checked all of those so that they're there. The only one that I wanted to label myself is that instead of using combo 1, 2, I labeled it mic 1, mic 2, line 3, line 4. That's how that works for my brain. And then same over here for the auxes. I just labeled it aux 1, aux 2, 3, 4, and 5, which corresponds to these. And I close that window, and there you go. Every manufacturer who has a driver, as soon as you load that in, Logic will see it and say, this is what the manufacturer calls their inputs and outputs. So really easy for me to go, okay, stereo output, I know that's going to the DAW. And this drum, I'm actually going to put back to stereo outputs, press play again. And you can see right here on the DAW. But I can also put these both out, the next auxes, and you'll see they're going to aux 1. So I can now, let's just say, I'm going to put this to aux 3, and I'm going to put this one back to the stereo outputs. Now you're wondering, okay, that's cool, but what is that really doing for me? Well, I'll tell you what it's doing. It allows you to build a mix inside the ANUBIS, right, that has all the levels set, and those levels could be sent out to any one of the outputs. So it could be, you could have a Q1 headphone mix, a Q2 headphone mix, 3, 4, and 5, right? You can have this coming out the mix outputs, which is the outputs, the main left and right outputs. Or you could have it going to an alternate mix output. If I was to click here and go to alternate mix, then that could be going to outputs 3 and 4. So, you know, the ANUBIS, if you think about it, technically it has 8 outputs on it. Master left and right, line output 3 and 4, headphone 1 and 2, headphone 2, 3 and 4. So you can really get creative, and you can go from the studio to the stage or wherever you want to go with outputs and reverbs and dynamics all set up. And again, because it doesn't require the control software, all these changes in here are automatically being saved in the ANUBIS. So that's setting up Logic, or any DAW for that matter, to run with the ANUBIS. Check out the next video, because I'll really get in depth on how we can do routing in and out of Logic from the ANUBIS using some of the dynamics and reverb effects and things like that. And you don't want to miss that. Check it out.